Hello everyone, and today we are going to look at another brilliant chess puzzle where White is able to get a lot of folks when promoting his pawn. In the following position, White is up a pawn, but both his rook and knight are on the attack. Now, if White plays rook to g4, which is either way actually a blunder, Black can play bishop to f6, guarding the pawn from pushing up. And after takes and white gives a check, which is better. White can't go with this with a king and rook versus a king and rook draw. So white has to play the brilliant move g7, keeping his both pieces under attack. Now, if black decides to take the rook, White can just promote his pawn and his knight will be protected from the black rook. So game will not be a draw. And if black takes the knight, then we can just simply promote our pawn, which will also attack the black rook, while also threat of c4, which will control a lot of squares around black's king, where black's king has to come here and black's king is very unsafe. So if black takes our rook, we can take his rook, and a queen versus bishop is an easy win for white. So black has to play rook to g2 to stop our pawn from promoting. That means since of this, black can't capture the knight unless letting that our pawn to promote. So tably, we can play a good move, which is knight here. So black has to play rook g2, right? After this, we play knight c3 check. Now all these squares are controlled by our pieces. So and if black has to go to c5 because going to here a5 allows rook to a4 checkmate, because these two squares are controlled by our white king, and the rook is checking the king and attacking it, and the knight absolutely guards the other two squares. So after king to c5, we play knight to e4 check. Now if we had played it rook to h7 instead of knight to d4 check, knight to e4 check, black can just play king to c4, and after knight to e4, king to d4, our knight is completely trapped. These squares are all controlled by the bishop, and the other ones are all controlled by black's other pieces as well. So the knight will be trapped, and after g8 queen and rook takes, and we take here a rook and knight versus a rook is a theoretical draw. Unless if black is careful and does not fork and see the entire board and not forks his king and rook. So after knight to e4 check, king to d5 attacking our knight. Now if black played it king to d4 instead, we can play knight to g5 check, and which is a discovered check, and after king to e5, we can now simply promote our pawn because now the g file is blocked for black's rook. And since we both have pieces and the knight is blocking both these threats and is protected, even if black had a chance to capture, it is nothing because we have the exchanges, which means we are up a queen for the bishop, and which white is theoretically winning. So king to d5 is forced, and after knight g5 blocking the file, now black has to take to keep our pawn stopped. And technically, if black had take with the bishop, we can just take with a check, not allowing black to have time to capture a rook and give a discovered attack on the queen. So after rook takes g5, We can play the rook sacrifice, rook h5, and after rook takes h5, pawn to g8 equals queen check, and king to e5 here. If black had played king to c, now here, in every variations, mostly white will definitely win a piece. Now remember, all these squares are controlled by white's pieces, so black's king can only go to these 5 squares. So let's see them all one by one. Now black can't go to d6 or d4. That means definitely these all squares are controlled by our pieces. Why? Well, that's the problem because the white queen can come here, give folks, and definitely this is going to be a good way. And sense of that here, black's king can also not go. If our queen could not x-ray, black's king can still not go there because it will still be a fork. Now that means black only has two options. Now, sense of this, black cannot even go to e4 because of the same thing. So, black's king can only stay on the 5th rank. Now, if black plays king to e5, we can just play queen f7 check, forking the queen and forking the rook and bishop. And after rook to f5 and queen takes e7 check, the queen versus rook endgame, white is completely winning. And if black played it king to c5, we can just play queen to g1 check, king to b5. Then the bishop is going to be attacked, and terribly, if black saves the bishop, the rook is going to be gone. And if black saves the rook, then terribly that is also. Now some of you might think, what if about rook to h7? Well, then we can just give fork like this. So that is the problem that black cannot play it. Now, if instead of that black plays king to d5, what will that do? Well, we go for the queen e check. Now, king to d5 is not a very good move here because after king c5 we check and king to b5 coming here, and this they both will be gone. And if king to d5, well, then this rook is gone after queen to d1 check. In all cases, white is gonna win a piece, and definitely for black, the best only for him is to go with a queen and rook versus queen. So a king and queen versus a king and rook, black has to go with. Otherwise, it will be a king and queen versus a king and bishop, which will be way too easier because the bishop is only 3, the queen is 9, while the rook is slightly more than the bishop but less than the queen. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on my next video. Goodbye.